I thought it was a brilliant performance from Arsenal in the second half. I thought first half they looked a little bit nervy and they looked a little bit like they were... I think sort of those jitters came from the goalkeeper playing out from the back in that first instant with Alvarez, and then the clearance off the line that happened in the first 2 minutes. And I thought they took a little while to settle after that. I thought what they did brilliantly was shut down the supply line to Haaland yesterday. I thought that was terrific. And they did that mainly because of their combination of two very good central defenders and a very good midfield player who apparently was overpriced.
Yeah, I was really intrigued by Pep Guardiola's comments before the game. Obviously, it's mind games to try and put the pressure on Declan Rice, but I think it backfired because I've already mentioned I think Declan certainly was a big contender for man of the match. And it is a problem, that midfield for Manchester City. I don't think it was part of their planning to lose Ilkay Gundogan, certainly not in the second half of last season. They thought they could convince him to stay. Obviously, Rodri stupidly has got himself sent off, and that's cost them dear in the last two Premier League games. But then you've got the Calvin Phillips situation. He spent 45 million, Guardiola, on Calvin Phillips. That looks like 45 million very badly spent at this moment in time. Wouldn't they have been better off saving that money and then going all out for Declan Rice, who would have been
I don't think Phillips,
a ready-made replacement for Gundogan?
I don't think Calvin Phillips wanted to leave, and I don't really blame him.
No, but should they have signed him in the first place? Is that not poor recruitment? Because he isn't good enough to play for Manchester City.
Yeah, but then isn't that not on the manager? Because the manager, he makes that judgment, doesn't he? And he thinks he can work with him. And if he's, okay, he did go there with a shoulder injury. He was out for a large part of last season. He came back. The manager said he was overweight. He wasn't fit. I don't know if he's ever going to use him. It doesn't look like he's ever going to use him.
Well, he played a 19-year-old and a new signing in the middle of the park yesterday.
Well, that's it. And it starts to hit home, doesn't it, to Phillips, and he still keeps getting into the national team. It's probably going to end that way, isn't it, that he doesn't really use him, unless he does something quite remarkable in the last little while.
So do you think that actually Pep Guardiola's planning for this season has left Manchester City a little bit undercooked in terms of their resources in midfield, the players that he's allowed to leave?
Well, Gundogan left, didn't he? Very late in the window.
We all knew he was leaving.
Well, yeah, but he wasn't certain.
He told us, we went to Bayern Munich. We all went to Bayern Munich at the end of last season. I think you were there. Were you there with us as well?
No.
We went to Munich and we asked Gundogan at the time whether or not he was going to sign a new contract. It was pretty clear at that point he wasn't going to do it. So Pep would have known that. They used to live next door to each other. Why didn't they have a better plan of replacing that player?
Well, I think it was also what they caught out by De Bruyne, weren't they? Because they were told medical advice said he didn't need an op, and very clearly he did need an op. And you think about that midfield, obviously all three of those that won the Champions League were missing. And I think Gundogan and De Bruyne are like geniuses. They're the players in the big moments.
Difficult players to find, I suppose.
Big moments that give you that little bit of magic. That seemed to be missing yesterday. I never felt at any point really concerned that Arsenal were in trouble. It was one of those, can they deal with Haaland? A ball into the channel. If they can thwart that and deal with that, then it's fine. But I didn't see the industry, the little bit of craft, the little bit of magic was missing from their play yesterday.
How significant is it, though, that they've lost consecutive games for the first time since December 2018? Since then, every time they've lost a Premier League game, they've come back and won a match pretty much. I think after the 25 defeats they've had during that period, the next match has been a win in 24 of the occasions.
Yeah, and it's not just at Man City, actually. If you look at Pep Guardiola's career as a whole, it's very unusual for him to lose successive league games. I think it is significant, not just the defeats, but the performances in those two games. They weren't unlucky to lose yesterday. They weren't unlucky to lose against Wolves. I think in both cases, the opposition deserved the points. It was interesting speaking to Guardiola after the game, and I asked him that question, is this a hangover from last season? And he said, it was a clever answer. He said the story isn't Manchester City losing back-to-back games. It's the fact that Arsenal finally managed to beat us. So he did well to try and change the narrative. But I think it is a cause for concern for Manchester City. But I think it's inevitable. If you speak to Roy Keane, after United won the treble in 99, he said that he had teammates in the dressing room who subconsciously weren't quite at the same level because basically they completed football. And I think City are going through a little bit of that as well.
How fortunate was Mateo Kovacic to stay on the field of play yesterday?
I think he was very fortunate. Obviously, Michael Oliver, I don't want to put him away. I just think he just read it wrong. That can happen. But it was, so each tackle was so similar. I couldn't believe Kovacic wasn't learning from the first one. He's gone off his feet. He's caught each. But I think what saved him a little bit with the first one was it was quite low. It wasn't that high.
It wasn't above the ankle.
No, it was still reckless though. So that I felt a yellow card correct. But he was quite dismissive, Michael Oliver. Whether or not, he was right close to the action, so I couldn't really quite believe that. And it could have had, major impact on the game. But, Michael Oliver is one of our best referees, and we want them in the moment to be able to see these things and make the right call. But I think he got that wrong yesterday.